making sure that the NSAs have got something there for them, a long-term project to get them to major games and beat the neighbours, because I mean that's probably the biggest, the funnest part about playing sport is to beat your neighbours and have bragging rights for a year. So that's slowly coming into the culture in Singapore.
Yeah, well, brilliant, mate. Well, nice chatting with you, Noki, and all the best for the tournament.
Cheers, Mike. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. No, they'll be on soon.
Ladies and gentlemen,
How are you, Al?
let's welcome
You coming for a chat, are you?
Singapore and Chinese Taipei.
You're right, Jeff's just down there, but did Chucky ask you to come over?
Sean did.
Oh,
And
nice.
Paul did.
Oh, good. Come, take a seat. So just getting ready for this Pool C clash in the Asian Sevens Series between Chinese Taipei, there they are, in their blue and white red strip. Referee Dowie Rollins with a very fetching red combo underneath his orange jersey there with the wristband and the undergarment. Very dashing young man. And they'll be taking on Singapore in their charcoal colours. Delighted to have with me another guest here in the commentary booth, Al Caravalli. Al, you're with the Philippines this weekend, but you must be based still in the US, I'd imagine?
I am. I happen to be in India this week for work, so caught a flight over to watch the boys, but I'll be preparing them for the Asian Games, which all these teams, of course, is extremely important for them. And for rugby in general, with these HSBC Sevens World Series starting less than a month from now, it's an Olympic qualifier year. So the 2014-2015 series is critical, especially knowing the top 4 spots will go from there. And then, of course, in the Asian qualifier, the top team from Asia will go to the Olympics.
Yeah, it's exciting times. So Singapore with the attacking scrum managed to get it back here through Zaki, I think it was, at the base of the scrum. Good pressure though from Chinese Taipei. There's Zaki again, playing a hand. Jamil. Max Stakano. There's a little grubber kick. Sadly though, Jay Heichel couldn't get on the end of it. It's left to Stakano to tidy up his own kick. Quick ball here for Chow. Well, comes away for Ishraf, but little knock on there. Bit of a kick in the guts for you guys early on today, Al, with the loss to Thailand. They were really up for it. They had a disappointing leg in Hong Kong, so you sort of got the backlash of that, I think, a bit, yeah?
Yeah, you know, the Philippines had plenty of ball. They didn't capitalize on it, so you couldn't say it was like a possession, but I think we didn't really do well with the possession that we had. And, you know, credit to Thailand, they took advantage of 2 tries in that first half. The Philippines could never get on. So, greatest thing about Sevens, you flush that one. They have Hong Kong coming up, which, you know, is a powerhouse of a team, but let's see if they can lift up their game. I think they can. They have the potential to do that.
Yeah, well, that's the great thing about being a successful team. Everyone wants to beat you, and I know that talking to the boys earlier today, they were really up for that game, but perhaps they just lost sight of the hurdle before the big one.
I think so. You know, if you look at tactically the game, when I said they had plenty of possession, we just didn't use it. Went into way too much contact. You know, a lot of people continue to forget that this is a game of evasion.
Yes.
You know, 15s is a game to outpower your opponent, but 7s is definitely a game to outmaneuver your opponent.
First try to Butler, who went for the contact but managed to smash his way through. I think we're just going to consult the in-goal judge. No, Rollins is happy. So first try to Singapore, who carry on their good work from Hong Kong. So with the Asian Games in mind, who are the big opponents you're looking to work against? Obviously Hong Kong will be one of the tough
our
teams.
pool, we have China, and that's why I was watching the game that just ended. They're very strong, full-time unit. Hong Kong's the powerhouse, and then we'll face one of the repechage teams. So we have to, if we want to have a possible medal, we have to win 2 of those games to go through. So taking one game at a time. The boys are very focused on that. Nobody thought we would qualify for the World Cup 2 years ago, and we did. So everything's possible.
You're still involved in rugby back in the US?
I just started to get back involved. So with the new changes that we've made with Mike Friday coming on board as the head coach and Chris Brown, so we've had 2 high performance camps. I attended the first one, second one I couldn't, but we've identified some new talent, brought in some former players. So they're preparing very well.
Brought in some foreign players, did you say?
No, former players.
Former players, excuse me. Yeah. Okay, great. So, we were just talking with Inoki just earlier about, the sleeping giants. China is one, but obviously there must be so much potential in the US. Can you foresee a time now that the Olympics is on the horizon where it'll start becoming more popular?
I think if you look at the age grades, so our entry level into the youth is sevens, is touch, and then going into sevens. And I think the more we can get the younger kids with skills and playing at a younger age, I think it will continue to attract more and more youth. The thing is, we compete with so many sports. You compete with the NFL and Major League Baseball, basketball, etc. So you really have to want to be understand what it is to be an Olympian, an amateur athlete, basically, because you're not making a lot of money, and you're playing for definitely pride of country. So it's almost like before 1995.
Well, what's your opinion, just personally, on seeing sports like golf, basketball, tennis that are fully professional with millionaires playing at the Olympics? What do you think that's right? I mean, I was thinking about it the other day with in Rio, the golf course hasn't got planning permission. It's like, well, maybe the golf isn't going to get there, and is that a good thing or not? As a rugby fan, it's kind of like...
golf and rugby were the two newest sports brought in. So we'll see. Golf is actually in a decline in the United States. It's too expensive. The youth think it's boring. It's too long to play. But I think that if you look at what they did with international basketball, the FIBA, they did a great job because it's popularized basketball so much. And I think, personally, when you start to get foreign players playing and starting in the NBA, that's when you realize. So, is it fair or not? I think that it's great for those millionaires to want to play for your country because they're not making their salary. They're risking injury. So they're truly playing for their country, and they're expanding the sport. And I think that we'll hopefully see some of that as well at the Olympics for Rugby Sevens, where we'll see some of the players coming out saying, the rumor is Sonny Bill Williams from New Zealand's raising his hand. He wants a gold medal. He wants to be an Olympian because those are special people. If you think about this first Olympics, 12 teams, there'll be only 144 athletes that said that they participated in that Olympics.
True. Well, Zaki's in the mood today. And some good play here from Ishraf. And away he goes. It's Derek Chan who gets the second try for Singapore. Good work. So Singapore starting this game strongly through Derek Chan, one of the members of the Oldham club in this squad. Quite a few of them, just a youngster. So Singapore really off to a great start against Chinese Taipei.
And that's a tough pool because they have Japan in that pool as well.
So you want to make sure you win this game, that's for sure, if you want to be in plate contention.
And Japan's probably not going to be very happy with their performance in Hong Kong. I see that they've upgraded their team a little bit this time.
Yeah, some of the old heads are back, that's for sure. Kuwazuru and Sakai. So conversion successful. Just a couple of seconds before half time. So with this philosophy of the Philippines garnering players from around the globe with Philippines ancestry, where does it stop? I mean, I guess it's gone quite viral, hasn't it, when you consider how many players have come from around the world to play for the Philippines, both in sevens and 15s. Every year there's a procession of players come through.
Right. I think too that they realize that they have the ability to play for the Philippines, and they're truly a heritage of either the ancestry part, mother or father. So the majority of them are mothers. But we're actually starting to see growth at the grassroots level in the Philippines as well. So,
that's great.
There's 100 million people in the Philippines.
This is Chen Chi-Chia, who's only 17 years old, so good dash from him. Real youngster. Here's the big man, Chuang Po Yao. Crashes it up towards the 22. And this is good fast ball here for Chinese Taipei. Oh, and it's just broken down. Basic error there, and that'll blow the halftime whistle with disappointment for Chinese Taipei. Singapore will be quite happy. 14 points to 0. Coaching director Afiaki's here beside us, clenching his fist in triumph, but it's a game of two halves, as we love to say in rugby. I'm sure there's plenty to do in the second half for them. So when you watch some of the players on offer here, you know, like we just said, a 17-year-old playing for Chinese Taipei, do you think other countries could do a better job at attracting some players? You know, like obviously you look at the Korean team, who are basically all Korean. Even if there's residency, people who have qualified for residency, they're not really considered or not attracted. Think of all the Korean Americans in the US that they could tap into if they wanted to. You know, are there possibilities that we're not tapping into in Asia?
Well, I think, Mike, if you look at what you're trying to grow in the country, so ideally I'd love to see one of these players that I took to the World Cup that's retiring become a coach. So I'd love to mentor them so they could start really the grassroots level. And you want to try to create an internal league. The good thing about, we have a lot of players playing professionally in Japan. Yeah. So even Filipinos that are born there, that are playing without ancestry, can actually see, look, I can make a career out of this if that's what I wanted to do. I have the avenue to go to the Olympics, to possibly be an Olympian. My personal preference is to try to get them homegrown, but you have to start someplace.
Yes.
So if they do well and the sport grows, the Volcanoes are very well known in the Philippines. They put their mark on the map within the country by doing well with the Asian, the A5N in the 15s, and then by going to the World Cup.
And underwear commercials, it has
underwear
to be said.
Commercials.
They're always strolling around in their underpants, those boys.
So I personally think Korea's doing the right thing,
yes.
Whatever you can. But if you look at New Zealand leverages Fiji, Samoa as well. So it'd be interesting.
So does England.
Right.
In fact, I think England has got more Pacific Island-born players in their squad than New Zealand. So, of course, New Zealand and Australia are going to get Pacific Islanders because their families come and move there as well. He says defensively. 14-0 just after the break, so that ball wobbles into touch, and Chinese Taipei will have a throw in here, and they really need to hit back first up here in the second half.
And Mike, just like what you said, they need to hit first up. People forget that they shouldn't chase the score. 14 minutes, 7 minutes is a long time.
True.
And if these players, let's say they cover at the worst 100 meters in 13 seconds, they could score twice in a minute.
Yes.
They just need to be patient.
Yeah, good theory. Well, this boy's not going to run 100 meters in 13 seconds, but he's going to power through. Takes a number of defenders out, which makes it easy to get a bit of room on the outside now. Here he is again, Chuang. Sensibly throws a pass that dips around the toes of Pan. It's a good run from Ho Min Sien, the captain. Oh, just feet there in the tackle. Looked accidental, but Singapore have really benefited out of that. Jay Heichel relieves the pressure further. They get to the 22. Here's Gunasekharan. To Butler. He puts a little grubber through. Kicks away possession, but good football skills there. Gets his jersey dragged back though. So Jay Heichel gets a chance to get a bit of revenge off the jersey puller, Lu Chihao. Numbers there to the breakdown for Singapore, but Chinese Taipei managed to dredge it back. This poor pass. It's Daniel Chow who was after it, but just gets an ankle tap in. There was a ruck formed there. Well, Singapore get the penalty. That's a strange one. Seemed like a ruck formed and Butler went in with his hand, but Singapore will take this one away to seal the game. Gunasekharan out to Hairul Naeem, who's really on the comeback trail, this 34-year-old. Daniel Chow thinks about the kick, but then realises he'll get a hard time. Better option there for Ishraf. Beautiful elusive running from Ishraf, who goes in under the post, and that'll be game, set and match for Singapore. Nice cohesive play there, Al Caravelli.
Absolutely. It was actually a very nice read by Hussein there, by Ishraf. He saw it, he straightened up, and just went in untouched. Very, very nice run.
What do you feel about kicking in the game? What's your theory on that?
I believe I prefer not to give away possession. Unless there's not a sweeper, you can clearly regain possession. If not, I'd prefer to keep the ball in hand. And when I coached the U.S., we were one of the teams that kicked the least in the series. Number 1 was New Zealand. I think we were second or third.
Okay.
And that's what I try to tell the Philippines too. I don't even like going to touch on line for lineouts on penalties.
Yeah.
I'd rather just have you keep
the
it
ball
in
hot.
hand.
Yeah.
There's exceptions for tactics and so forth, but in general, let's keep it in hand.
Yeah. So are there any, can we look forward, do you think, to any new innovations in the next 12 months in sevens leading up to the Olympics? Obviously, we've talked to other coaches like Inoki about strength and conditioning, but also some of the skills like the aerial battles that we've seen in the last 12 months. Has that got another few steps to take? Is it going to get more spectacular?
I think so. If you look at what New Zealand's done in the series with Sam Dixon, a former Aussie rules player, those aerial skills are critical, even more than I think basketball. But I think what coaches are starting to do right now is see what they can take advantage of from the law. So in sevens especially, because the breakdown is so easily called, everything is seen. So if you start to watch, is the ruck really formed? You're going to see Australia did a very good job last year in the series where they'll tackle, get to their feet quickly.
Yep.
They don't engage the ruck, so the ruck isn't formed.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think that's offsides, but he stays at the back of the
scoops it up.
so-called ruck that hasn't been formed, and they take possession.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to see more and more of that in the series this year.
Is that positive play?
I don't think it's negative or positive. I think it's a very good coaching where they see and interpret the law.
Yeah.
Some people say interpret the law appropriately. Some say interpret the law to their way.
Yeah.
But I think it shows the development of the game with the positive dialogue that the coaches and players are having with referees. So I think it's good for the sport because it just continues to challenge everyone and it advances our sport.
Yeah. No, I must admit, as an armchair viewer, you see that happen, and it just seems so wrong. Your immediate reaction, I'm sure, for the referees, it must be so hard to get right with that split-second timing. Right?
Mike, you are so right there. It is very difficult for the referees, which puts them on their game all the time.
Yeah. So Singapore on an attack again. This has been a comprehensive performance from them. Gunasekaran, he's made a difference since he's come on. Jay Heichel finds some space around the outside, stretches and slams the ball down in the corner. So this will be a 26-point game with the conversion to come. And Chinese Taipei with their shoulders slumped, the body language says it all. Japan to come today, so that's another big hurdle. But Singapore looking good for the plate competition. If not, a surprise in store for Japan as well, who knows?
Yeah, I think Singapore is doing all the right things. They're moving the ball to space, taking advantage of their opportunities of the possession. So I think they're doing a very good job. Chinese Taipei is going into way too much contact, turning over ball when they go into contact. And again, Singapore's taking advantage of that.
Here's a character, Gunasekaran. He's missed the conversion, but such a great linking player. Very tall, stringy player. Doesn't look a smoothly flowing player, but boy, he gets at the right place at the right time and links up nicely.
And that's all that counts.
Yes, exactly. Got a great head on his shoulders. Just a youngster. Plays with the St Andrews Old Boys Club. So as far as domestic rugby goes in the Philippines, Al, obviously the Fat Boys is on this weekend, a renowned sevens tournament in Angeles. And best wishes to everybody there in the weekend. Hope you've still got some energy and some sobriety to go on with over the weekend. But as far as local leagues go, how's that going?
It's starting to. We're not seeing any really new leagues in Manila per se, but we're starting to see more teams playing on the outskirts, especially sevens, because you don't have to have, of course, as many players in 15s.
So a great try from Rainer Leong. Oh, what a powerful surge there from the prop. One of the stars of the World Club 10s. He played for the Asian Pacific Dragons, the Asian Pacific Dragons in that tournament. Came in as a local player. They always love to adopt a local player, and boy, when he got some time, he was spectacular. Got 3 or 4 tries over the tournament and just came up to the general level, and that's fantastic to see as well, Al.
Absolutely. When you see a youngster take advantage of those opportunities like that, as a coach, and somebody who develops, then you really appreciate that because they seize that advantage.
So that's the end of the game. A wobbly old conversion from Kunisekaran, but it's successful. So that will bring the score up to 33 points to 0, and that is a hell of a whipping for Chinese Taipei. Singapore looking good in their first outing in Pool C of this KL leg of the Asian Sevens Series. Al, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. You want to stay on for one more game? We've got the, what have we got? Malaysia UAE.
Sure,
yeah,
we'll do
that's
that.
brilliant. So just to confirm the score, Singapore 33, Chinese Taipei 0.